Good morning, everybody. We are back. It is the right side of campus. We're live on a Thursday, March 29th, 2018. I'm your host, the big man on campus here with my co-host, Donnie Rightside. Donnie, it's opening day in baseball. We'll get into yet another sport we add to the arsenal. As basketball ends college-wise, we jump into the NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs. Baseball's added. Spring's coming. That means summer's only what is it, a month or two away? I mean, 2 months away. It'll be June 1st, the unofficial start to summer. How you doing today?
Yeah, doing good, man. Baseball season on the horizon. A full day of baseball, Jeff. We can get back into our April. Actually, it's not even April yet, but we might as well say it's April. Those April fade conditions that we'll take a look at. We'll probably bring a couple up during the show today, Jeff. It's a nice transition. Last night, Jeff, the eyes of the world were focused on the Super Pit in Denton, Texas, and now we move out to the Major League Baseball diamonds.
We welcome everyone in today. Hopefully, you haven't had a great night, and hopefully, you enjoy the show today. If you're out there, hit the like button, retweet the show. Retweeting the show is critical to the growth of it and allows other people to see it that might not catch it on a regular basis. So we ask you hit the like button and do that retweeting if you're on Twitter. We'll get to baseball. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. A lot going on there. We'll also discuss obviously the NIT title, which goes tonight in New York. And yeah, I mean, it'll be a fun show. Looking forward to it. Let's get into the show. Donnie, why don't you shout some people out before we get on the air here?
Yeah, let's get some shout outs out there. It is opening day. So, Jeff, a lot of new gamblers maybe be piping in. Some people don't bet college basketball. I don't know why you wouldn't. Maybe some people don't bet the NBA. Waiting for Major League Baseball opening day. Matthew Varnum, Ken Peterson, Jason Ash, Carolina Capper, Don Deasy, Jay, Christopher Carter, Lawrence Stockhouse, Jeff Slaughter, Adrian A, KY Derrick, Nighthawk Ammon 101. Who else we got in here? Yeah, so we're all ready to go, Jeff. We are primed, ready to break down that Major League Baseball card, which you just get to in just a few moments, Jeff. Morning headlines, Jeff. Why don't you kick us off? Let's have some fun here.
Yeah, the Giants are in the news, not the San Francisco Giants, the New York Giants. They're in the news because they're offering, uh, with what I think a ridiculous asking price, two first round picks for Odell Beckham Jr. Donnie, I'll let you have at this one. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny because you play the whole smokescreen game, Jeff, don't you? Like, he's not on the block. By the way, 3 days ago, the Giants were calling around. Well, he might be on the block because everybody's technically on the block, but we're not looking to trade for him. By the way, the minimum price right now is two first round picks. We expect him to be on our football team. He's on our football team now. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Would they love to unload Odell Beckham Jr.? Yes. It is a major media market. He is their best player. I understand that. And again, it's the entertainment business, Jeff. They're in the Big Apple, the largest market in the world. You want to keep your superstars there, but at what price do you keep them? You're telling me right now, Jeff, if you hung Odell Beckham out there and all of a sudden the Browns gave you a phone call and said, look, we can't give you one, but we'll give you our number 4 pick this year in the first round and a future consideration of a first rounder or a second rounder, depending on how well he does. You're telling me the Giants wouldn't make that move right away? You can go out there and get possibly, Saquon Barkley and Josh Rosen for Odell Beckham technically in the draft this year and a first round of the following year. My goodness, why wouldn't you do it? I don't think it happens because you're right, Jeff. Two first round picks for a diva wide receiver. And then, Jeff, it's not like, hey, trade him two first round picks and you're going to get Odell Beckham at $3.5 million a year. You're going to get him at $20 to $25 million a year. Just ain't going to happen.
No, I totally agree. Is he worth the asking price? I don't know. He's a pretty good receiver. He's pretty damn impressive with what he can do. Catching the football and everything. But he is a bit of a diva. You're right. But who isn't? And a good point here. Wide receivers are a dime a dozen. Good point. Yeah. Look, I hear you, but that's not going to happen. And I think we all know that. Dave Gettleman and those idiots up there need to get something a little bit more possible as opposed to this. We'll see what happens. Odell Beckham refusing. He says he's refusing to play on this current deal, making $8.5 million a year, but he's refusing to play. Donnie, we'll see how this goes. Obviously, as spring gets through and the training camp starts. You think what's the resolution here?
There's going to have to be a resolution, Jeff, because he's not stepping on. We've seen this coming though for at least a full year, right? He's talking about I don't get paid enough. I'm getting hurt. I'm sacrificing my body. I'm the best player on the team. I want to get paid. Well, now it's time where he is legitimately optioned to get paid because you're allowed to restructure his rookie contract at this point for major money. It's going to be a headache all the way through in New York. I don't understand. Like again, if you could get just forget about future drafts, Jeff. Let him just get the 4th pick in the draft from Cleveland from Odell Beckham. I would do it in a second, and I would reboot my entire team, cut Eli Manning, start the young kid Rose, and put Barkley in the backfield and build my team throughout. Now that you're going to have some money freed up on the cap. But hey, it's New York. They'll probably keep Odell Beckham.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I don't think you're wrong there. Isaiah Thomas out for the year for the Lakers, but I don't know if that's a big deal really. Though he had been playing well. Isaiah Thomas, we've talked about before. It's really just kind of ever since he had that, run in the playoffs. I mean, he just I don't know, he just hasn't had a great career. I mean, Cleveland was a mess. Now he's out at the Lakers. He gets injured. Supposedly though, he's in line for a deal with the Lakers. Who knows what will happen there? Isaiah Thomas still out for the rest of the year. He finishes the season with um, what do we have? 15 points a game. Was a bit of a help for the Lakers once he got there and got through all the new team stuff. But Isaiah Thomas out for the year, Donnie. Rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's good or bad or indifferent there for the Los Angeles Lakers, but he doesn't fit their future plans. I think we could probably agree on that. Going to be a free agent. He's going to think he's worth a lot of money when technically he's not. Just not a good look, though. I mean, you were in, with Brad Stevens and everything worked around you over with the Celtics. Then you move over to Cleveland. Didn't work out. And it was a really weird Jeff dynamic. I think you would agree when he got traded over to Cleveland. All of a sudden, the shift is he doesn't like Kevin Love. He's not playing games, but he's trying to pull weight in the actual, locker room and be a team leader. Then he gets shipped out to Los Angeles talking about it's good to be on a different team that lets me do me. Meanwhile, he's taking 1,000,000 shots a game, not making any, and the Lakers are losing. They're a better team. To me, Jeff, the Lakers are a better team when Isaiah Thomas isn't playing. Just let Lonzo Ball and the young kids play out there. IT doesn't fit into your future whatsoever. It's a good thing he's out for the year for them, for me.
And keep in mind, he played well with Lonzo Ball out. That was more what I was saying there. When he was
Oh.
in there, he gave them good minutes. It is what it is. I would agree though, he wouldn't be my starting point guard if Ball's healthy. But in the time that he was in there, and recently he didn't play horribly. But yeah, he's small. He's doesn't play particularly good defense, and yeah, that's just kind of his issues. And he struggled a lot since he's left Boston. Um, Now, Donnie, the 15-yard penalty fouls come into play now.
God.
I don't see the problem with it, frankly, but maybe you can better talk to us about this.
Look, it's there's human nature penalties, Jeff, and there's flagrant, ridiculous nonsense, which I think the NFL over the past 5 to 6 years legislated it out. Now, were we happy about it? No. But technically, Jeff, does anybody want to see the wide receiver on a slant route over the middle getting decapitated? In the late 80s, early 90s, it was really cool. Then you realize how hurt these guys are after they get done playing the game. And there's no need for that because you can lower the target zone. I mean, some penalties are unavoidable when we get that. The horrific over the middle, I'm going to take your head off wide receiver call, that had to be outlawed out of the game because it was a vicious strike, knocking guys out, concussions, we hear about it. But this lowering the helmet thing, I don't know how you can legislate it, Jeff. Last night, going over some highlights that they're showing, and we're not that far removed from the NFL football season, from the playoffs and the Super Bowl. I don't understand, the running back running up the middle and safeties and linebackers converging. Is the running back supposed to, Jeff, stand straight up and take a full-on shot to the sternum? I don't, either we're going to take the helmet off the football player, or we're just going to let him play football and say, hey, you know what? You know what you're signing up for. We're trying to make it as safe as possible. But some of these hits are absolutely unavoidable. When you reach into tackle on a collision sport in a fast-moving game, now, look, granted, when you're practicing your tackling drills, you're supposed to keep your face up and tackle like this, right? But the running back is not going to run into you, Jeff, full speed, standing straight up like this, where you're going to hit like rock'em sock'em robots. The head's going to go down when you reach. The head has a natural tendency to come down. I mean, are we looking at 30 or 40 penalties? Are we looking at, and how about this one, Jeff? The quarterback sneak. The quarterback sneak takes the ball and goes into the pile. Is that a 15-yard penalty on the quarterback because he technically is lowering his head and driving into the pile? I don't understand. Goal line situations, Jeff. Handing off to the running back. He's running in there full speed. Is he running straight into the line like this now? I don't understand. I can't understand what the NFL is doing to itself.
Yeah, this it is a bit of a problematic penalty, though. You're right because I, I think if you do anything when you're running at something, you are technically going to put your head down. Yeah, I think it's a concern. I mean, you know, and there's going to be problems with it, just like there's with this catch rule. No one knows what a catch is. No one's going to know what a penalty is here with it. Yeah, you're right. I think instead of this, I think they should take away kickoffs. Frankly, I don't really understand why
Union
we
won't
still
allow
have
that though.
kickoffs.
That's it. It's interesting you bring that up when I see it come up in the chat box there. It makes sense to get rid of the kickoffs, doesn't it? But here's the problem,
Yeah,
Jeff. When you have a union in football, how many players on that 53-man roster are specifically there and make the team because of special teams, kickoffs, punt returns? If you outlaw those, Jeff, what's the NFL going to do? You know why the owners would love it, Jeff? They'd have a 20-man roster and only pay 20 guys instead of like 53. There's no way the union would ever go for removing kickoffs from football.
true. Good point. Well, I guess you'd still need them though for like kicks and stuff, like field goals.
But
Wouldn't you?
they're all fat linemen out there usually. You know what I mean? You would no longer need backup linebackers. Like the linebacker position would
True.
disappear in the NFL. It'd be mayhem. And I don't like. Didn't they already try to remedy this, Jeff? Do you remember the one year they actually moved the kickoffs back because they said, "Ooh, it's more exciting to have more kickoff returns," and they immediately moved it back forward. We already don't see a lot of kick returns as it is. Just leave it. It's a collision sport. Back in the day in high school when I played, Jeff, we used to run the wedge on the kickoff. That means five fat guys used to come back, and what I mean by fat guys, I'm being facetious here, offensive linemen, big linebackers, big fullbacks, would lock arms, Jeff, and run up the field like Roman gladiators with the kick returner behind them. At least they outlawed stuff like that. The game is as safe as it's going to be and still be called football. If you continue to change these rules, we're heading down a real slippery slope where you're not going to like it and people aren't going to watch the game anymore.
You know what, Donnie? Eagles have won the Super Bowl. I couldn't care less what happens in the
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
NFL.
At least we got
Fuck
one.
it.
Now football ends and we
Yeah,
all hate it, Jeff. At least we got one. You're a good point on that one.
yeah. I mean, blow it all up. I don't give a shit. I don't care if they ever play again. Um, you know, Screw it. We got a Super Bowl. I'm good. Um,
Yeah.
Donnie, you're becoming, or was somebody saying, Donnie, your in-game, your demonstration there was good. I agree.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
was good.
what do we look? We all know football, Jeff. You don't. Again, if you didn't play high school football, college football, pro football, or midget football, people that like the NFL know the game. There's legislation which right now works. We all get angry already, but now you're adding to what do we get mad at the most, Jeff, in all sports? Referees who have to make a call but interpret their own call. What, are you going to get a crew that throws flags left and right when their heads are down, and the next week they don't throw the flag at all? And how about don't even get me started, Jeff, on the new catch rule. What's a fumble now, right? Are you allowed to catch the ball, have 2 feet down, fall to the ground, the ball comes loose, and that's a fumble and no longer a catch? That's a discussion for another day. But the NFL is headed for a really weird season where you thought the refs were bad before and you got angry at what was a catch? Wait till this year.
Donnie, you could always go watch rugby. Rugby's pretty cool.
Why not? Why do we have helmets anymore? Put the leather helmets on the guys, right? And and I saw somebody make a joke yesterday. Michael Bennett's shoulder pads are a joke. It's like having 2 eggshells. Why doesn't everybody just have eggshell shoulder pads now, right? Like, what are we trying to aim for here?
Yeah, no, you're right. But hey, like I said, F it. Who cares? Let it go away. We got our Super Bowl here. Donnie, one other thing I noticed yesterday, 305 names have already been put on the transfer list for next year in college basketball. Is the transfer market ruining college hoops?
Like normally, Jeff, I like the free market system, right? If you're able to get out and go. But this does hurt because, Jeff, if you agree, me and you, if you're looking at just Power Five, you love it. But let's take it back to the basketball, the ground roots where you go into the tournament and you have 4 or 5 year seniors on there. Simple case in point, Jeff, a guy who made the right choice. I see the interviews this year and he says, look, I put myself in the situation. Jeff, you know as well as I do, the Ohio Bobcats last year had maybe the best point guard, maybe the best guard in the entire MAC conference, Jaron Simmons. He sees an opportunity to go to Michigan. Great school, great institution. Take your game to the next level. he gets like 5 to 6 minutes a game. And a lot of the times during the season, Jeff doesn't even get in the ball game. He said, hey, look, I made the decision to come here. Nobody forced me to do it. But situations like that where maybe the grass isn't greener, but I just think it uproots what I like the best. The mid-major competition now gets diluted because you see a way out and you can just get out and transfer. But 300 players, that's outrageous. Where are we all going? Where's everybody going, Jeff?
I I have no idea. Yeah, it's amazing, right? And that doesn't even count all the, I mean that's right at the beginning of the transfer allowance. So yeah, it's crazy. But LA Rams add male cheerleaders. Huh,
Yes, you
good
see
for them.
that?
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, colleges do it. I mean, um, well, first of all, I think the cheerleading market in the NFL is one of the more unbelievable things you'll ever hear. Did you hear recently, Donnie, about that Saints cheerleader?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of like don't get me wrong with
But
you. I never
it's
understood this as
amazing.
well. Like, yeah, go ahead.
No, it's amazing how like the and if you I don't know if you've ever done this, but do you know how much they get paid? Do you know offhand?
It's improved markedly over the years, but it's still not that much.
But it's like very little. Like it's a pittance
Used to be
amount of
like
money.
minimum wage. Yeah, like the Bills. The,
Yeah.
the Bills dropped their whole cheerleading squad because of a squabble where they were only getting like minimum wage and they said they should be getting paid more. Now, I always like to dig into this because I have a problem with it both ways, but I hear what you're saying.
But like they make interesting points here in the story where like they're trying to be they want to be treated with more dignity, and that's true. I mean, you look at some of the stuff that they can't do. I mean, it's amazing. Like I read like in the article that if a cheerleader goes into a restaurant and a player's in there, she has to leave. Like she can't eat there. She's got to leave. They
Yes,
make
and you can't fraternize with like you're not allowed to call them, have them on social media. You can't hang out with them. That's pretty much across the entire NFL too. It's almost like, hey, there's an after like on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night, which is the party night in the NFL when they have their days off. If you go out to one of the clubs in the city and you're just a cheerleader, you're there for the night. You don't know they're going there. You actually are supposed to leave the club if the football players
yeah,
come in. Come on.
right. And I'm reading. I also read that in some instances they're earning less than $1,000 a year, not a month, a year. I mean, look, I get like cheerleading's kind of like I don't know. I think it's one of them. It's pretty useless, really. But I mean, for an NFL team, I think it's cool. I mean, it's a way to kind of break the monotony of a game. They're kind of you know, they're the part of the team. They should be treated better. This is a mess. This is a complete joke. I get you don't want them fraternizing with players and stuff, but is it legal that you could tell them they can't? I mean, is it?
I mean,
That's
it's a private business, so I mean, you can because Gino brings up a funny point there because it could go opposite where it's just like the hoochie mama strippers that just want to have a baby with a professional athlete. You could see it. They're trying to avoid that situation, but you still have to like the part about like going through even to be an Eagles cheerleader. I mean, you have to go through a long like dance routine, prep, practice, tryouts. Like you have to be a legitimate like I was a college cheerleader. I'm good at sports and dancing and athletic and smart and talented, and I can answer questions well. It's not just we're going to go down to South Philadelphia and pick up the 20 hottest girls and just put them on the sideline in some mini skirts and stuff. So there's a little bit something to that. But I see what they're trying to do, but there has to be like a bending of the rule, right?
Yeah, or just not do it. I don't know why if you're a woman you'd even want to do it. I mean, you don't get paid anything. It's bullshit. You can't do it. Yeah. I mean, if you go to a restaurant, you can't eat there because someone's in there. Fuck that. I mean, I'm out. Um, I don't know. We'll see. Interesting for sure, though. Um, Jeff Slaughter says cheerleaders the only reason I take binoculars to a game. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
my
weak,
dad.
man.
That's like my dad.
I've always thought about that. It's always a lot of people do that. I don't, you know, you do know they make a thing called porn and it's free. You can go watch it on TV and whatever you want. Donnie, let's move on here. Let's get into the recap. Not a big recap to really get into, but we had some games last night, and most of them went how we thought they would.
Yeah.
North Texas evens up the series against San Francisco. They'll head back to the Bay Area for a third and final deciding game. They get the
No,
job
Jeff,
done in
it's actually, you
69.
know what's interesting? I had that wrong too, forgetting about the actual rules. It stays in Denton. First game's out in San Francisco. Next two are at the Super Pit.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah,
So we'll
no
stay in
1, 1, and
Texas.
1. Yep. Yeah.
Uh, we'll stay in Denton, Texas for the final. Um, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the line is. Liberty bows out to Illinois Chicago. Very disheartening performance from Liberty. They didn't play well last night at all. Only 51 points. And the Flames move on to the final. Would be a nice end of the season for this Flame team who had a good season. I bet them plenty of times. They've also done it without the Kembe Dixon, who, frankly, Donnie, without him, they've seemed to play a lot better. They get the job done and win by 16
Yeah.
against Liberty. Nice win for Steve McLean's crew there. And Northern Colorado win and cover against the Sam Houston State Bearcats, who, by the way, Donnie, one of the lamest thing in sports is the fact that they spell Bearcat with a K.
Oh, come
That's
on. It's bad.
stupidest. Stupid. It's not how you spell Bearcats. Why are you spelling Bearcats with a K? There's no K in Bearcats. It's a C. Um, why are they? Why do they do that,
Maybe
Donnie?
was
Can
there
you?
was there infringement with like Cincinnati? Like they weren't allowed to name them that. You know what I mean? So they just had to go to C to a K.
No, that's stupid. That's lame. The Bearcat with a K is stupid. But over comes in there, and I mean 99 points. They crushed it offensively. Did Northern Colorado just up and down the court? That game, I think, at 81 at half. Over was pretty much hit by half. So nice night last night. If you were betting the hoops, you made some money, I think, because a lot of the public sides seemed to come in over in that game, under in the first game, and North Texas. So Illinois Chicago wins is plus 180, Donnie, on the money line. So we are getting close to the end with college hoops. We'll have the NIT tournament coming up tonight, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly, Bryce. Good point. That would be like spelling campus with a K. Good point, Bryce.
Yeah, and a W.
It's stupid.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's really, really dumb.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
even know where you was going with that at first. I'm glad you brought that up, Jeff, because me, dummy, I'm reading that going right side of campus. What's he saying there? Good point. There you go. Had to be explained to me.
Kevy K just started following you guys off on the right foot. Well, thanks, Kevy. Hope you enjoy it, man. Yeah, or a W with right side. Good point.
Yeah, yeah.
Very odd. Or why not just have no names? Why do we need names? Let's just call it Sam Houston State. Do we, when you describe a team, do you really say, "Well, I think the Bearcats are really going to win this one"? I mean, why do we need that?
Yeah, there's
Like,
very few. There's very few teams where you say that. Like maybe like Miami, you call them the Canes or something like that, or the Knowles. But yeah, you're right. When you have the littler schools, like you don't even understand what their mascot even is. Just call them by their school.
yeah, who cares?
Yeah, mean
Um,
green.
yeah, right. The Lakers. What's a Laker? What
A lot of lakes in
what's a
LA, man.
Nick? Like some of these names are just stupid. Let's move on to baseball, Donnie. Obviously, we'll move that down there. Baseball is upon us here, folks. The national pastime, as they call it. I don't know if it's still the national pastime, but it's fun nonetheless. Donnie, are you going to be into your? Are we going to be into the fading the public false
Yeah.
flag system today? Is that
Absolutely,
what?
yeah. It's something that maybe a read on like the first 2 days, but why not jump into it? I mean, again, when you're talking about April baseball, whether or not you're fading the public, capping the game, you shouldn't be going hard and heavy in April because we all know the weather conditions. You know, guys are just getting back into the swing of things. You're moving back in because keep in mind, Jeff, they didn't play. At Citizens Bank Ballpark throughout spring training, got used to it. Like these guys are legitimately coming up on a plane, like, hey, I haven't seen my apartment in Center City in 6 months. Welcome back in. Let's move it all in. And oh, look at this. My old route down to the ballpark. And man, the stadium looks great this time of year, doesn't it? Wait for a while to get them into their knacks. You let those guys settle into the bullpen. You let stretch the starters out. Instead of going 5 1/3, they go 6 1/3 or 7 1/3 as the season goes along. But there is some money to be made in April, Jeff, just by picking on the public because your eyes are going to deceive you early. Oh my God, let's just take Clayton Kershaw every single game. Well, maybe Clayton Kershaw's not revved up and ready to go 9 innings and 119 pitches his first couple starts out there. Pick some of those spots. And again, money has to be right, tickets have to be right, but it does make sense to fade the public and take plus money in April.
Yeah, and it's interesting because sometimes you have to take a shot with dogs early on. Like for me today, I'm going to take a shot with the San Francisco Giants. I think they're a decent side, decent team. Blocks had good numbers in his career against the Giants. Should be a low scoring game. Maybe we get a shot at the end to win the game when the bullpens come in at the huge price that it is. I think it's worth a look. I know I'm betting against Clayton Kershaw. Well, okay. I mean, that's fine. Ty block. Um, you know, hopefully he can throw well. Also, you look at his last two outings, Donnie, last year. 14 innings against them, 3 earned runs. He pitched really well. But Kershaw has been dominant against them. So you'd imagine to be a low scoring game. Both pitchers have been fantastic. Maybe taking a shot. You're going to take shots with unders early on, I think, a lot of the time with weather and things like that. But Donnie, we do have to say something that will be, I think, a shock to a lot of people. It will suck, but I think we're going to have to just come to the realization that it's not happening. Homer Bailey will not be pitching today, unfortunately, due to the postponement of the National Reds game. So if you were looking to get on or fade Bailey, you're going to have to wait a day.
Jeff, if you do not believe in God, then maybe there is a God, and he's saying this is some bullshit that Homer Bailey is a starting pitcher on opening day. Rain on Cincinnati. We ain't having that happen. So maybe he is a sports fan, Jeff.
Yeah, maybe that's just like, oh, well, we really didn't want him to pitch anyway, so we'll just say it's raining here. They're not going to come check
And
on him.
call it a day ahead, Jeff. Not even wait till the day. It might not even rain. They're like, Homer Bailey, bullshit. Strike that game.
Yeah, that's always been a lame thing. Like even like now, like I see around here, like if it's supposed to snow, they'll like cancel schools and stuff like that. And it's like, well, what if it like veers off to the right and like you just wasted a day? Like, do you really need to do that? Like, what if it doesn't rain or doesn't snow or whatever? But yes, he still is in baseball, and yes, he was the uh, favorite to be the starter for the Cincinnati Reds, just because to show you how bad that organization is pitching wise. A couple other news and notes, Donnie. A nice pitching matchup early on in New York. You get the Mets and the Cardinals. Noah
Yeah.
Syndergaard against Carlos Martinez. That's down to 6.5. How about that? Donnie, your boy, the big man on
Mhm.
campus, got 7 already. I bet it small.
Ooh.
I don't go crazy in early baseball. I kind of follow Donnie's lead. I don't go too heavy, but I got 7 in this game. Cubs, Marlins, Urania against John Lester. And Donnie, Marlins man will not be at this game. He has decided to find a new team. He said he
Pull his
made the
200
Marlins
grand.
jersey.
Yeah.
He said he made the Marlins jersey famous than a Marlin can, more famous than a Marlin can.
Hmm.
Jay-Z said he made the Yankee hat more famous than a Yankee can.
Yankee
Uh,
can. Yeah.
how about this? Who do you think he's going to go root for, Donnie?
I don't know. Dude, who would want him anyway? Do you like want Marlins man showing up at Citizens Bank Park, Jeff? Do you want Marlins man showing up at Yankee Stadium and sitting behind in those seats and just with the Yankees jersey on? He knows he can't leave the Marlins, right? If you're known as Marlins, like you're the big man on campus, Jeff, right? You're just going to change your name tomorrow and be like under a different moniker? No, we know he's the big man on campus. Work it out. Jeter, have a nice little sit down in South Florida. Go to Joe Stone Crab. Maybe invite Pat Riley in to try to broker the situation. You're a Marlin. Stay a Marlin. Nobody else wants you anyway.
Nick Nolte throwing out Al McMurdy stats here on the show today. Nick, I'm not sure how relevant 2005 stats are till today, but again, whatever floats your boat, bro. Um, yeah, listen, Nick, if you can explain to me how something that happened in 2007 is relevant to what happened today, I'd like to hear it. Do you see the correlation,
Yes.
Donnie? I don't really.
No, there's no correlation. Because what happens if you said, all right, I don't know, maybe one of those stats from '07, Jeff, was like the if what Montreal Expos or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah, I'll give the lean here. I have a weird feeling that Marlins man's going to go root for a New York team. I don't know why,
Oh, yeah, but
but
why though? No, shouldn't he pick somebody like in the Heartland or something that doesn't get a lot of support? Like, shouldn't he go out to maybe be a
yeah,
Royal or something like that? You know what I
I was
mean? Or a
thinking
Pirate?
KC because he has been out there before, but I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I do have a weird feeling he's going to go and root for a New York team because he does like hang around Barstool and stuff, and I feel like they're kind of like he'll try to get in with that cohort and maybe go root for someone there. I don't know. Yeah, I only that's a good point, Donnie. I only prefer stats from 1980. 2005 is not long enough. I need 1980 or 70 or those kind of things.
By the way, Jeff, there are
Also,
two early ones here. The you brought up a good point there. That's St. Louis Mets game, and then the Phillies Atlanta game, which are kind of interesting spots early in the season. These are the two type of games, Jeff, I would like to look for. And again, keep in mind, like Jeff, we say it every. I don't cap a single game in April. Has nothing to do with who's hitting, who's doing anything, who's pitching. It's specifically a fade on the public itself. These two games fit that criteria, 903, 904, Jeff, and that Martinez Syndergaard game. 39% of the wagers are coming in on St. Louis, Jeff, but 64% of the money. So you have more public tickets coming in on the Mets, less coming in on the Cardinals. Now look at that line, Jeff. Pinnacle opens it up at a 130, staying at 130. Chris opened up at 135, dropped it to 131. So there is some movement there, despite only 39 or 40% of the tickets on the St. Louis Cardinals. That's a decent spot. Game two, right behind it, Jeff, 4 o'clock. Nola Tehran, 55% opened up on the Philadelphia Phillies, 45% opening up on the Atlanta Braves, 43% of the money on Atlanta. If we take a look at that, Jeff, opens up at 120, the favorite of the Phillies. That's now down to 115 at Pinnacle. Chris opens up at 125. That's down to 119. So if you were to play sort of that system of fade the public, your plays would be on St. Louis and Atlanta, both as dogs today, hoping for no less than a split in those two spots.
yeah, I'm beginning more and more to kind of get off that Phillies game. I hear what you're saying with that one. Tehran might use this as an opportunity to really kind of put the demons behind him. New year, let's get out on a high note at home. And again, I know this doesn't mean a ton, and again, I think it's the only day where it does mean anything. But I talked to someone last night, and he was talking about one of the callers that called into the show we have at night, and he was saying that he lives in Atlanta and that they're having all these ceremonies and stuff there. Now, Donnie, we've talked about that before. It doesn't mean a ton, but I think with young players and especially on opening day, you're probably going to get a pretty good crowd down there in Atlanta. You're getting a team in here that is pretty exciting as far as root for. It's an NL East matchup. I think it'll be a decent atmosphere down there today.
Yeah.
Tehran could use that as kind of fodder, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm kind of more and more kind of on that thought with you there. One or two others here we'll just kind of gloss over. The New York Yankees get going on a hopefully memorable season. Luis Severino against J.A. Happ. Chris Sale and Chris Archer. The Corrado of Chris's get going.
Mm.
Boston,
Yeah.
Tampa. Chris Sale has obviously great numbers against everyone, but Chris Archer does not have good numbers against the Boston Red Sox in his career. 2-12 in 19 starts with a 5.45 ERA. Has struggled lately against the Red Sox. High price with Chris Sale. Maybe you lay a run line. We all know the Rays are pretty poor, Donnie. Any thoughts on Archer there?
Yeah, you know what, Jeff? If you're looking at one of those games as well, I mean, look, 79% are on Boston, 87% of the money, which flipped it over 21% and 13% for Tampa Bay. Line opens up at Pinnacle, Jeff, at 164. That's at 155. And if we slide it over 175, Chris opened up. That's back down to 155. That's a good spot for Tampa Bay on opening day. But again, the optics are hard, Jeff. You want to bet against Chris Sale and the Boston Red Sox opening day? No, nobody does. But those are the games you have to dip into in April if you want to try to make some money. Take those dogs that are underpriced, not getting a lot of value, and the line moving in that opposite direction. That's another interesting one to take a look at here opening day, Jeff.
Yeah, another one I'm kind of liking is maybe an over in the Rocky Diamondback game. Neither pitcher I'm not in really into. Uh, in 2017, the Colorado Rockies were very good against lefties. Arizona very good at home generally. Two staffs that aren't particularly great bullpen wise. Maybe looking at an over. I mean, you're going to get pretty solid numbers here. If this is the middle of the season, Donnie, what's this total? 9.5, 10, 8.5, maybe
Yeah,
a little
you know
low
what's
here.
interesting about that game though, Jeff? I agree with you initially on your thought process, but let's not forget they have the new humidor in Phoenix for this game operational from game one. I'm interested to see how that will actually affect it. And I don't understand why you want, Jeff, why do we want that anyway? I understand at Coors Field, There is a legitimate ridiculousness to Coors Field because it's elevation, but it's the one spot in Major League Baseball. You're going to deal with it. You play a little pinball. You try to throw a humidor to try to quell it down a little bit. Why do we need humidors across Major League Baseball? Isn't it more fun when the game is 6-5 than 2-1? Am I missing something here?
Yeah, according to Forbes, they actually rated Chase Field as one of the worst ballparks in the league. As far as I'm not sure what their basis on that was. Um, you know, I, again, the humidor thing, I don't really understand. You're right. Um, he says Chase Field reminds him of an airport hangar inside.
It does.
It
It
is
does.
kind of
He's a good point. Yeah.
it is kind of an odd stadium, but again, I hope for a lot of like doubles and stuff and runs scored that way. Um, I don't know what a humidor actually will do. What does a humidor actually do, Donnie? Isn't that for
It actually
cigars?
keeps them, yeah, it keeps like the moisture in the ball so the balls don't get actually dried out because a drier, harder ball travels farther. They're trying to, make it legitimate around the league that every ball, every stadium is storing their ball. It sounds great, storing their balls correctly, right? But that they're trying to make it more uniform. But I don't understand if you're going to limit and it's going to be an effect on the overall runs of the game. You're not going to see as many home runs. What the hell are they doing? Come on, man.
Chris Carter. What is Forbes? Well, Forbes is American magazine published
Yeah.
bi-weekly featuring articles on finance, industry, investing, marketing, sports, music, all sorts of stuff. They're worth over $1 billion, and it's interesting that you don't know what Forbes is. Forbes
Yeah,
rates
Forbes
billionaires.
every time a what team just goes up for sale, they always quote Forbes. Forbes has the Sixers at $900 million, whatever. That's usually the go-to, and when they talk about that,
We're definitely getting older, Donnie. People don't know what Forbes is.
I am.
Um, Well, I think I am too. I'm surprised that no one knows. He doesn't know what Forbes is.
Jeff, are you
Um,
telling me this game ages you when being on camera and capping for a living? You age beyond your years.
well, I am getting older. I mean, I'm, somewhat. Yes, it does actually. Yes, I feel like the last 6 months have been made me 10 years older. Yes. Actually, my time on Twitter has made me much older, frankly. Donnie, that's opening day. It should be a fun one.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting games. A lot of nice to see baseball back. But I do know next week, Donnie, Phillies opener on Thursday. It's supposed to be like 45 degrees, so it's not going to be good baseball weather, really.
Jesus Christ.
Uh,
We can't shake it up
so
here,
yeah.
Jeff. What happened to March? March is supposed to be able to get out, that first sign of spring, like, ooh, a 60-degree day. Man, it's really nice up here. It's been trash weather, brother.
Yeah, as many know, I go to San Antonio tomorrow for the Final
Oh,
Four,
you lucky.
and
Yeah.
over the weekend, Don, it's supposed to be 84, 83. Um, yeah, I'm gonna miss the cold weather, Donnie.
Jeff, track's too
Uh,
hot for tracksuit, man. Come on.
I know. Uh, let's get into the NIT, Donnie. Give me some lines. What do you got?
Yeah, let's take a look here. NIT final, Jeff, which I'm impressed the way Penn State has entered it down the stretch, so to speak. They're a good basketball team. And I know you stayed away because their big man hasn't been playing, since being banged up. What's he injured now, Jeff? Maybe 4 or 5 games into it. But this team has played really, really well. They're going to get another tough one tonight, stepping in against Utah. But it seems like, Jeff, they might be the public darlings here. Line opened up at 3, now sitting at 4.5 and 4.5 double juice at Bet Online. So possibly going to 5, which is kind of interesting because we all talk about value, Jeff, and what value you're going to get out of the game. Utah is a pretty sound, fundamental team that has bigs that can play both offense and defense. 5 might be getting up there a little bit. 3 was a little bit better. As you know, yesterday on the roundtable, I gave out the over of 135. That line actually dipped to 134 yesterday, but has since made a comeback today. It looks like 135 across the board. It's a tough line, Jeff. If you're asking me to get involved with that line, I like Penn State, I do, but I don't know if it's going to end up somewhere around 5. I think that's a little bit too much. I'll just stick with the play I had yesterday on the over 135 and see what that does for me tonight. How about you? Any thoughts on the NIT tonight up there in MSG?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably keep riding with Utah in this game. Like you though, I am interested to see if we can get 5 on this one. Obviously, any extra point helps, but I mean, Utah was a 2-point underdog to West Kentucky, and they were able to get the job done there. They didn't play particularly great. They still were able to get the job done. Defensively, they've been a lot better, and I think for your under or for your over, that could be a concern just because they have really fixed their defense. The zone has been good, and Penn State has had problems against zone defenses throughout the season. But I think the advantage that the Nittany Lions will have is they're just bigger guards than whoever they play. I mean, a lot of the time they just have major advantages there. And against Bibbins and Bearfield, who are not particularly big, that is a bit of a problem for Utah. I think it's a good game, though. I think it'll come down to the wire. I think getting 5 points here is obviously going to be key. If I can get five, I'm going to definitely play Utah. Even at 4.5 or four, I like Utah. I just think this game comes down to the wire. I don't really foresee anyone running away with it. Utah's too talented as far as the players that they have. Collette could be a concern for the Nittany Lions. No Mike Watkins. If Mike Watkins played, um, I think Penn State would probably have had a different season, but he didn't. And with the other players that Utah have, Rawson, he can go out and stretch the four and shoot on the perimeter. I like Utah. I'm going to grab them here, but I am going to see where this line goes. I'll release a play
Oh,
later if
wait
I
a
have
minute.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and we'll try to finish it up with this game. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Donnie, before we wrap up the show today, quickly just wanted to mention how hot are the Sixers, man? I mean, how hot is this team right now? Playing unbelievable. They've won 19 of 20 at home, but there was a bit of a concern last night. Joel
Yeah.
Embiid is injured, and I think the good news is there's no fractures, there's no concussion. Facial contusion is a cut. There's probably some sort of cut, near his eye, or we're not really sure. No one's really, everyone's pretty numb on this, though he did tweet out a video of some sort. Um, but Markel Fultz, I've enjoyed watching him play, man. When he's in the game, you kind of focus your attention on Markel Fultz. He's so nonchalant with the ball, but
Yeah.
it just looks real natural to the kid. I mean, he's interesting to watch, man. He kind of reminds me of when I was a kid, Donnie. In Philadelphia, there would be kids like I'd go play Capitolo at Regino's
Hmm.
there, and I remember
Yeah.
the kids would come over and like they had that. Philly has it really nonchalantness with the basketball. Like everything just came really natural to certain kids, and like he kind of fits that mold. He's an impressive kid to watch. His shot looked good last night. He made that jumper. It looked good, didn't it, Donnie?
Yeah, that's what's holding him back now, and it's good they're easing him in. And I don't know how effective he's going to be in the playoffs because I'm sure he's in his mind, and the coach says like, "Look, hey, you don't have to. We don't need you to go out there and even if you're wide open, fire up a three. Do what you do." Because if correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, he's had close to double-digit assists both nights he's on the court in limited play. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's not out there because we need scoring punch. He's out there because he's very fluid on offense. He can move the ball. He can make good passes, and you're still gonna have to worry about him because he can get to the lane. I like what he's doing so far to take it easy, but boy, oh boy, Jeff, if he can somehow, I don't know, make it through the rest of the season, lock himself in a gym again over the summer, and really come out with that smooth jumper, he's going to be a pretty good basketball player. But we'll take those baby steps here in Philadelphia for the time being.
Yeah, and I mean he's only going to give you extra. I mean he only had a couple
Yeah.
of points last night, but I think he had a couple boards. I mean he's
Mhm.
getting there. I mean it's a slow and steady
His
kind of
plus
thing, but
minus,
they
Jeff,
are.
has been great the last couple of games. His plus
Yeah.
minus is almost leading the team, so he's doing something right.
No, you're totally right. Donnie, any other what do we have off topic? Anything else to wrap the show up here today?
Yeah, a couple quick ones, real quick, Jeff. Get your opinion on. I know you like this one, which is why I picked it there on this whole topic. Gronk heading to the movies, Jeff. Your thoughts on Gronk the movie star?
I didn't hear about this until just now. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, this is who he is. I mean, he has to always be in the center of attention. It's time that he finally wake up. He's 28 years old. Okay, you're not 19 anymore, bro. You're not in the fucking Sigma Phi Alpha frat house. And he does things. It's funny. Everyone's supposed to laugh, but when if someone else did it, it would be a problem. It'd be all over the news. Um, I hate him. I can't stand him. He's a great football player. I'm not going to knock him. I think he's one of the more dominant athletes we've seen over the last 5 or 10 years in his sport. But when it comes to purely a person, there's no one more non-likable than him. I can't stand these kids that like grow up, man. I mean, you're 28 years old for Christ's sakes. You're not still in the fucking frat. I mean, go, you know, stay out of the limelight a bit. And now, now he's going to be in a movie. that doesn't surprise me. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
one more quick one, Jeff. I want to
I'm sure his role
go
will
ahead.
be, oh, he's like some kind of frat, drunk or something. That's just what he does.
What the hell is Ronda Rousey doing? Real quick, your opinion, Jeff. I don't know if you watched ESPN at all, but she was run through what they call the car wash on a couple different shows
Yeah.
and asked questions. Some of the most bizarre interviews I've ever seen where they're throwing her softball questions, and it looks like she A, doesn't want to be there, B, doesn't understand anything, or C, is really just dumb as a rock and has no personality whatsoever. What was your take on those interviews? What you got out of those?
Well, she came off real bitchy. I mean, honestly, I mean, she didn't want to seem to answer anything. I thought the questions that were posed to her weren't particularly. I mean, listen, I mean, those questions are going to get asked to her. She was awkward.
Yeah.
And listen, if you get beat the way she did, I mean, they bring her down the way she was, you're going to get asked about it. And she actually reminded me of me when someone brings up something that I don't want to talk about. I get on the defensive, and that's just who I am as a person. I want to argue things, but I will say this, unless she looked good. I think she's sexy, Ronda Rousey, but she didn't look good, particularly with her awkward interviews. And look, Max Kellerman, as far as his opinion on sports, maybe you don't like it, but when it comes to fighting, I think he has a pretty good opinion, and he is one of the people that I would trust with that opinion. And I don't think anyone was trying to come at Ronda Rousey, but it was very awkward for sure.
No, it was there. Yeah, running a little bit out of time, Jeff, so we'll get out of here today. Major League Baseball on deck, Jeff. In just a few hours, we're going to get the season started, so we'll have a lot of fun and get after it. I'm going to post a couple plays out there today for Major League Baseball that I'm feeding on maybe. And again, folks, these are all really light. We like to say McDonald's wages to start out, have some fun, cash some tickets here, and have a good time here. College basketball on tonight. We'll have some fun watching that, Jeff. Leave with something before we get out of here, man.
We'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock a.m., same time, same place. Um, Follow me on Twitter at Jeff Data. Follow Donnie at Rightside VP. Thanks to Johan for producing the show, and thanks to all the listeners for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow here on the right side of campus. Bye bye.